It makes sense of what's happening in the news, technology, business, and beyond through the lens of economics. Let's jump right in.
Hello, sir.
Hey, man.
Hey, dude. Happy belated birthday.
Well, I guess in a way, maybe we are going back to that with RFK. Who knows, man?
Thank you so much.
Are we saying how old you are? Are we keeping that a secret?
1,582 years old.
Amazing. And in all your years, this is the worst trade policy you've ever seen?
Yes. I mean, by the United States. I've seen some other countries do some dumb crap, but I've never seen us do this crap this dumb.
And since we last spoke a few days ago, are you feeling any better or worse or the same?
Pretty much the same.
Speak for yourself. We want to go back. Then leave. Go somewhere else. We should just pay money. If you want to go back, go to some other up country and go that shit up. Don't destroy my country. Go somewhere else, okay? Go away. The United States is like the leader of the free world in economics and culture, in everything, okay? If you want to go back to some weird Handmaiden's Tale world, then go do that somewhere else. Get the out of my country. Leave.
Crap this dumb.
And since we last spoke a few days ago, are you feeling any better or worse or the same?
Pretty much the same. I think one thing that we've learned is that the Trump administration is not significantly more competent than it was in its first incarnation.
Any updates on Canada and other countries dumping USD? Are they waiting on Trump to do something? I don't know what's going on right now. I just know that Mark Carney dude, he's the one, okay? He's him. He's that Canadian, okay? Whatever people said about Trudeau, I don't even know what Canadians said about Trudeau, but I already know. Even without knowing, I know that Canadians were probably like, Trudeau is a neoliberal. Mark Carney, he seems like an actual neoliberal, okay? A neoliberal god to take us into the new age of whatever the fuck political system is coming next. Hell the fuck yeah. And I'm here for it, okay? I'm here for that guy.
This dumb.
And since we last spoke a few days ago, are you feeling any better or worse or the same?
Pretty much the same. I think one thing that we've learned is that the Trump administration is not significantly more competent than it was in its first incarnation. I think there was this idea floating around, and I bought into this idea, honestly, that the kind of tech right had infused the administration with this sort of competence. You know, we know a couple people who are either in the administration.
Richard Hanania was a big believer in that. I mean, to some extent, even I thought that a little bit. I think I did. Did I actually? I'm not sure. I wonder if I was totally disillusioned by crypto. Actually, maybe not, because all the crypto bros are like fucking abolish the Fed, bro, abolish. Oh wow, welcome to America. Is the background for my Destiny GG chat, is this black or is this a different color? I noticed for my oh no, wait. I don't know how this HDR bullshit works. When I go on Twitter, on my computer over here, the Twitter background is like super black, like HDR black. But on this computer here, it's not HDR black. But my DGG chat is not HDR black. I have no idea why. It's lighter than the black on Twitter. Oh, okay. That makes sense then. Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
We're going to learn about the world.
Is this making fun of liberals or leftists? It's Bo Burnham. I don't think he's like a ultra heavily political guy. It's more like social-ish commentary. Have you watched Inside? No, I don't know what that is. What does that mean? Uh-oh. Is Ryan Macbeth waking up? Oh my fucking god. Okay, quick random meme question that no one will be able to answer. Except maybe somebody will be able to answer. There's literally no point to me asking this question. On Just Works, if you hire somebody and then you send out the email, but then you realize that it's like a different email, you need to do something different. Is there a way to just like cancel this without having to like schedule like a termination and all this bullshit? Is that possible? Does anybody have any idea? It's so fucking annoying. Destiny, from the USA point of view, what's the difference between Ukraine getting NATO membership and Ukraine having European troops there with a US backstop? Aren't they both tripwires for the US joining a future war via Article 5? My understanding is that Article 5 can only be triggered if your soldiers or your territory is attacked in your territory. I don't believe that Article 5 is triggered if your soldiers are attacked in another country. Wait, we can watch this while I do this. Fuck.
A lot of people asked me to comment on President Zelensky's meeting with President Trump on Friday, February 28th, 2025 at the White House. Look, right now I'm sick. I went to urgent care yesterday. They said it's not the flu and it's not COVID. I'm stuffy, I've been coughing, I have a fever, so maybe I have some advanced genetically engineered Romanian freaking rhinovirus that I brought back to me from Europe. But right now I feel like I've been run over by a dump truck. And the fact is that my latest novel, The Last Republic, is on deadline. It has to get sent to the editor, so I need to get that done. So I'm going to make this quick because I need to get back in bed and die. I titled this video, Are We the Baddies?, after a sketch from that British show, That Michael and Webb Look.
Our caps. The badges on our caps. They've got skulls on them. Are we the baddies?
And this comes at an interesting time because I was just in Poland and Romania visiting NATO sites and talking with NATO members. One of the sites that I visited was JTEC, or the Joint Analysis and Education Center. Our Joint Analysis Training and Education Center, sorry, I'm still messed up. It is basically a schoolhouse that's founded by NATO, administered by Poland, and run by Ukraine. The whole idea is that Ukraine has learned a lot over the last 3 years from their war with Russia, and their instructors come to Poland to help teach NATO members what they've learned, things about drone warfare, robotics, unmanned systems. It's a really neat school. It's a great idea for a school, and NATO is learning a lot from these Ukrainian instructors. All right. While I was in Poland, I attended an exercise where I watched dudes in ghillie suits attack a trench line. And that seemed to me like one of the stupidest ideas I've ever heard. Like, why are you wearing some hot-ass ghillie suit to attack a trench line? But what the Ukrainians have found is that wearing a ghillie suit not only breaks up your outline while you're moving across the field to hit the trench, it also lowers your thermal profile, so it makes it harder for drones to spot you. And that's something that Ukraine learned the hard way, and that they're sharing with us now that they have this school, this JTEC. Ukraine never really asked for anything more than weapons and ammunition. They have tested their flesh against metal in order to remain free from the yoke of authoritarianism. And at one point during the White House conversation yesterday, Vice President J.D. Vance asked if President Zelensky had ever thanked the U.S. for our help. And yes, Ukraine has said thank you. They helped found JTEC. And it's where we get to learn all of Ukraine's lessons to see how we can apply them to the next war.
Just to be clear, they wanted like a personal thank you, a groveling is what they were looking for.
So not only have they thanked us, they paid us in information. Also, every time Ukraine fires a Patriot missile, that data is going back to the U.S. So we've learned a lot on how to do air defense from incoming theater ballistic missiles just from that. The funny thing is that while this conversation in the White House is going on, I believe while the meeting was taking place, there's a funeral in Ukraine for a young American, a former Marine who went to Ukraine to volunteer, and he lost his life in the fighting. His name was Ethan Hurtrick. And this is how Ukraine says thank you. The real winner in this whole exchange was Russia, who seriously can't believe its luck. I mean, when you are handing content wins to RT, formerly known as Russia Today, you probably need to reevaluate your strategy, right? Kind of the scary thing for me was that my Newsmax colleague, Carl Higbee, posted on Twitter after the exchange saying, America is so back. And while I respect Carl Higbee, I think it's a rather short-sighted view. Mainly because if America is taking the side of Russia in a conflict, it calls into question all American aid. If America could hold back weapon systems because the president feels slighted or snubbed, or the president, the person the president's speaking to isn't doing what he wants him to do, that could put many weapons programs in danger, such as our sale of the F-35 to India. And,
he's dying. It's all over, boys.
The world will be a better, safer place if India has American weapon systems and with India operating the F-35. But why buy the F-35 from America if just saying the wrong thing to the president could get him to cut off your supply of parts? And I think that's the real takeaway from this interaction. If I were Australia, who just agreed to buy 3 Virginia-class submarines from the U.S. instead of buying some of France's submarines, I would seriously start taking a look at France's submarines again. I mean, yes, ours are quieter, but they come with a fondue machine. You know, I wouldn't want to risk a major defense platform on the whims of a man who was looking for what he called good television, right? You know, one of the things that President Trump said to President Zelensky was, "You're not winning this." And for almost 3 years, I have said there is no win. There is lose, and there is lose more. Russia isn't going to win, and Ukraine isn't going to win. Russia literally can't win, because the day the war ends is the day their economy collapses. But if America champions the cause of Russia, or even takes their side, or pursues sanction relief for Russia, then that gives Russia a soft landing and they can lose less. And that's about as close to a win as they're going to get. I think the only way Russia can lose less is if America supports Russia. America is supposed to stand for freedom and democracy, not good television. And the people of Ukraine have made it clear that they do not want to live under the control of Russia. And yet we just handed Russia a victory essentially for free. Which begs the question, are we the baddies? If you want to help pay for my funeral expenses, grab the wind machine from Amazon or from Audible. It'll still help keep you busy until The Last Republic comes out. Also grab one of my Rock Out with Your Chalk Out aerosol shirts from Bunker Branding. Thank you for watching. I'm going to go die now.
Rip.
Wow, this
One of the challenges for the next few years is we have to convince the American public, because the administration, it doesn't matter anymore. So like somebody linked this in chat. Norwegian fuel supplier cuts off U.S. Navy, urges others to join. Haltback Bunkers. Haltbach Bunkers, a major Norwegian fuel company, has stopped refueling U.S. Navy vessels and is urging European firms to do the same. Like, for the current admin, this is just a win. Because it means, oh, cool, well, we're just not going to waste money sending our Navy anywhere. We're not going to send them anywhere, and that's fine. But I think you just have to give a bunch of W's to the current administration, and then you have to hope that the American people don't want America to just fully withdraw from the entire world stage. Did I watch the Warren Smith video yet? The one that the short one he made about me, the one yesterday? Yeah, we did. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he's ready for peace. And they shot a fucking video? Why does Trump want to increase defense spending when he's pursuing detent? With China and Russia? I don't know. You're not asking the right, or you're not oriented in the right direction. I don't think there's like a coherent thing. I think we just like say things and then we'll do things. Like they want to cut the Pentagon because smaller budget good, but they want to boost the military because big military good. Even though these things are contradictory, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's not about like what is real or what exists in reality. It's just kind of like saying the things that make people feel good in the moment, and then you just move on to the next thing. So I think that it's probably detente. It's probably a waste of time trying to appeal to the current administration, and you just have to appeal, I guess, to the American people, hopefully. You only need like a few percentage points of people to make the party unviable, right? The Republican Party, that's all you have to do. You don't have to like convince like 50% of them, so. Are you aware of JIT versus AOT compilers? Yeah, but I don't think anybody really uses JIT anymore. The AOT ones are just way more, they're just easier to deploy across an entire network, I think, and have everybody, I don't even know what those mean. Attack on Titan versus JIT. I don't know what either that is. Just in time versus ahead of time. Okay. But convincing the general public means going against all news everywhere at this point. True. We need state governors to step the fuck up. Where's Gavin Newsom? Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of like big things that have to change, and I just don't see. I don't even know if the will to change some of these things exists, so it's hard. Like, I think that Democrats, but like this is so hard because they love this messaging so much, or at least the ones that I see are the progressive. The Democrats need to drop all the weird shit about like the billionaires and the donors. Like, it's not time to cut potential funders out of the party that might align with you in interests. Like, it's so stupid, the fixation on that. And the, Jesus, I don't know, man. It's a lot of dumb shit. All the left media that doesn't care about actual elections is fucking stupid. The silence from past presidents is the worst. It makes it seem way more normalized. Past presidents typically don't speak on current things. I believe, did Bush not support Trump in 2016 or was it 2020? And that was considered, I think, a pretty big deal that he said that. Like, I think past presidents just typically aren't involved in current politics. It's just like a norm, basically. But I mean, yeah, they should be now for sure. Deepak interviewed top 10 congressmen and senators the past 2 weeks, Raskin, Warren, etc., and literally none of them have a fucking path forward. I like the Raskin guy. I don't know if he's like a good politician or whatever. I mean, he wins elections, but I just like him because he seems like he knows his shit. But nobody cares about that anymore, so. To be fair, Trump did win on that populism shit. It makes sense why leftists want their own populist message. Maybe a little. I don't know why the right is more, but it's more than just the populism though. It's all the crazy shit on top of it.
Watch this guy.
How long ago was his interview with Raskin? I'm just curious. Because we watched Brian Tyler Cohen interview him. Leftists have much better propaganda than center-left liberals, and they can harness populism much like Trump does. Yeah, but they don't, like... It doesn't translate electorally, like, anywhere. Like, where are all of our communist socialist fucking candidates winning elections? I think countering the Putin just wants peace narrative is an important one. Maybe going over all the different peace agreements that he's brought. But these people don't care about the facts. That's the difficult thing. Like, every time it's like, oh, well, we just need to show them all of these things in the past. Like, they won't believe in any of it, right? Or they only need, remember, on the conspiracy brain on the right, they only need one thing. They can be wrong on 19 things. They only need one right thing, and that's it for them. And then on the other side can be right about 19 things and wrong on one thing, and that's enough for them to discount it. Like, there's something else going on. Yeah. What is this?
A man charged with capital murder of a Texas police officer has been released on bond. The first time someone has been released with such serious charges in over 20 years. Now a Texas judge is facing blowback after setting bond for the second suspect charged in the case.
Unfortunately, Judge Hillary Unger is a rogue judge and notorious for releasing repeat offenders who go out and kill other members of our community. We've got to stop these rogue judges. I was attacked as DA for fighting against this type of activity by our local judges. Right now, we appear to have a DA that's complacent and okay with it.
Here to help us look at this rogue judge's record is Fraternal Order of Police National Vice President and current Houston police officer, Joe Gamaldi. Thank you for joining us, officer. So just help us break this down for us, because it's kind of mind-boggling to think that a judge would grant bail to someone who's accused of killing a cop.
Yeah, well, let's be clear. This judge is an absolute disgrace, and she doesn't even deserve to be called a judge. She's just an activist masquerading as one. I mean, to allow these two dirtbags who are charged with viciously ambushing and shooting Deputy Escada over 41 times to make sure they finish the job. I mean, to give these individuals bond is unconscionable. I've never seen anything like it in my 20 years in law enforcement. But as shocking as it is completely on brand for this so-called judge who has made a habit out of letting cold-blooded murderers walk out of her courtroom. She let another monster out on a murder bond who went on to rob a 71-year-old woman and murder her by... But along with so many others are on Judge Unger's hands. If she had a shred of integrity, which I assure you she does not, she would resign in shame for this.
So when this case came up and you realized that this accused cop killer had been granted parole, you already knew Judge Hillary Unger? You knew her reputation?
Yeah, everyone is familiar with Judge Unger here in Harris County because she has made a habit of letting violent criminals out over and over again, and it completely erodes the trust that law enforcement has in the criminal justice system.
What is the Houston Chronicle? Can't you have to subscribe? Come on, seriously?
But more importantly, it completely violates the trust of the community. How are we expected to investigate cases? How are we expected to get witnesses to come forward if the spineless judge is going to let the suspects right back out on the street before the paperwork's dry? And what this judge is really signaling to the community is that she cares more about her revolving door criminal justice ideology than she does about the community members out in our streets.
So what does it say to your fellow officers who have to actually go out there and enforce the law, knowing that judges like this are just going to let an accused cop killer back out on the street?
How many January 6 people were pardoned again? Many of whom were fighting with federal officers?
What it really says is that she doesn't give a damn about police officers. She doesn't care that we put our lives on the line every single day to protect our communities. She doesn't give a damn about the community if you're willing to let murderers out over and over and over again. And you know what? Someone needs to stick a microphone in her face and ask, do you feel a shred of responsibility for the people that you have let out and then have gone on to rob, murder, assault, rape innocent people in our communities? And you know what? She's up for the election in 2026, so the members of Harris County need to make sure they vote her ass out.
Officer Joe Gamaldi, thank you for joining us.
Okay, somebody wanted me to go over this. I linked it in chat, but I can't access the fucking article, and I'm not subscribing to a random city's fucking media thing. But apparently, this said, Unger reminded both sides in court that the Harris County District Attorney's Office, then led by Kim Ogg, never followed through on holding a hearing to hold Francis without bail, forcing her to set an amount in his case last November based on his financial affidavit showing limited assets. The judge, a two-term Democrat, previously targeted by the Stop Houston Murders PAC, told the Chronicle on Wednesday she was constitutionally obligated to set a bond in Francis's case. Yeah, it sounds like, just going on that paragraph, unless there's something else, it sounds like the judge has to set a bond unless the DA has a hearing or something showing why that person shouldn't be allowed to post bond at all, I guess. Wait, this says Judge Hillary Unger declined a no bond request from the former district attorney. Capital murder suspect charged in the killing of a Harris County sheriff's deputy was released on bond Tuesday, even though prosecutors had requested that he be held without bond last year. Wait, so which article is correct? I can't read the Houston Chronicle shit article, so. According to records from the Harris County District Office the District Clerk's Office, Judge Hillary Unger of the 248th District Criminal Court set bonds for Dramone Eugene Francis, age 27, at $500,000 for capital murder, $500,000 for tampering with evidence. One of two suspects in this murder. Both Palmer and Francis were charged with capital murder. Palmer is being held without bond. Oh, wait. So, Raphael Lemaitre, a spokesperson for new Harris County District Attorney Sean Terre, and formerly employed by Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo. What the fuck are these names? Blamed former DA Kim Ogg. He said that prosecutors had failed to follow through on a request for no bond with a hearing, so the court could not lawfully hold him on no bond. Ogg told the Texan that her office always filed motions asking for a hearing, but that it was up to the judge to set the hearing and a trial. Harris County's bail bond practices were featured in a recent Texas Senate committee hearing on bail reform measures. Jesus. Hoffman cited research indicating that since 2021, so that's like 3-4 years, there had been 162 homicide cases filed in the county for which the defendant was out on bond. That's pretty wild if that's true. Jesus. Christ. Here's the PDF. Judge sets $3 million bail for accused Harris County deputy shooter. Well, I feel like the DA can probably request a hearing, and then it's up to the court to schedule it. I don't know if the judge schedules things or if there are other people that do it, but I don't know I don't know whose fault it is. I guess you'd have to post receipts. I don't think I understand bail destiny. How are these people affording these massive bail prices? Most of them just got really lucky in crypto. Or they go to a bail bondsman where you can post a percentage of bail and then they loan you basically the money to post bail to the courthouse, yeah. Ugh. There are plugins that basically work as a Sci-Hub, but for news sites that are fantastic. Oh. Scheduling is usually done by the judge with coordination between prosecution/defense, at least in my county. The judge themselves does scheduling? I feel like that would be like an assistant or something. Didn't conservative judges keep saying that norms and decorum are so important for the judicial branch? Exactly, because that branch holds no way to enforce its will. Do you think they will come out and defend the branch's authority, or will they roll over? Huh, good one. What is the what's our next deadline for this TRO shit? Country, not county. Oh, so by noon yesterday, we read their filings, and then who knows how long it'll take for them to go over this. March 10th. This person said eating fast food is cheaper than buying food from grocery stores.
What even is the point of...
You linked me a 5-year-old video from Adam. If the Supreme Court blocks the TRO, I just don't know why you would follow any law in this country. I don't know why the fuck you would ever do anything. Well, as long as you're being loyal to Trump. Like, if you're going to commit crime or do something, you should just wear a MAGA hat, right?
Cooking at home. This has been a non-question for most humans, because for most of human history, the only person who was going to turn this into this into this was you. I prepare food because I want to eat. That's been all of the reasoning that most humans who've ever lived have ever needed. From our hunter-gatherer life to our agrarian life and even into much of our industrial life, the only person who was going to feed you was most likely going to be you or someone in your immediate social group. But now, for people like me living in highly developed post-industrial economies, because I want to eat is probably one of the weakest reasons for cooking, in my opinion. We live in a world where this chicken costs about the same as this chicken from the same store. And in this world, I think it really pays to interrogate why we would buy this one. Field trip to Oxford, and not that Oxford, Oxford, Georgia, where Dr. Derek Shannon is a sociology professor at Oxford College of Emory University. He specializes in things like political economy and teaches a course here that's quite relevant to our discussion.
The sociology of food course that I designed is a part of what Oxford College calls our theory, practice, service, learning program.
This is true. There is like there's this middle ground of food that you can buy, which is, I don't even know how you would describe this, but people think you can either buy groceries or you can get like fast food. But grocery stores usually sell like prepared food, kind of. It's not like fast food, but it's not, you're not buying a chicken and then preparing it yourself. They have it, it'll be like in warmed bags or stuff like that. Is it ready to make maybe? I don't know.
Part of what my students do is work here on Oxford's organic farm.
Look at this place. Even in the middle of February, it's beautiful. The apple trees over here are blooming. They've got all these garlic and onions and cabbage going. But anyway, if you ask Dr. Shannon what's the point of cooking at home these days, the first thing he says is...
because it's an enjoyable and desirable activity. Some people like cooking, just like some people like knitting, and you can go buy a sweater for cheaper than the materials that it might take.
Indeed. The first good reason for cooking at...
Also, did he ever comment on these old videos? Why is his lighting so insane? Holy shit.
Home is because it's fun. This is, in my view, an unassailable reason for doing anything that isn't particularly harmful to others or particularly harmful to your long-term fun-having capacity. I recently put out a recipe for French macaroons in which I encouraged people to loosen their expectations about how these things should look. If you just care about how they taste and leave the cosmetics up to fate, they become as easy to make as they are delicious. But if you derive pleasure from working to create cosmetically perfect macaroons, I think that's great. You have my blessing, not that you asked for it. My argument is only this. If it's making you miserable to try to create perfectly round, smooth domes with perfect little ruffled feet, then stop. Make the ugly ones or buy the beautiful ones. Also, maybe try to think a little bit more critically about whether the things that you do really do make you happy. This is something I try really hard to do, especially with regard to my creative work. Am I struggling to make this thing because I enjoy the challenge? Good reason. Am I struggling to make this thing because I'll learn something valuable from the struggle? Good reason. Part of the reason I spent so much time and effort trying to recreate the New York-style pizza from my youth was pure curiosity. I wanted to understand on a tactile level what makes that stuff taste the way it does. Am I working to make this thing because the end product will give me joy? Good reason. I think this chicken tastes way better than this chicken. Am I going through hell to make this thing because someone will give me money for it at the end? You gotta get paid, son. Am I slaving over this thing because it will make someone else happy? Really good reason. Maybe the best reason. Am I killing myself on this thing because I think it will impress someone? Not such a good reason, in my opinion. Look, this is a conversation about the meaning of life we're having here, so reasonable people are going to disagree. But in my view, cooking should be about nourishing and nurturing people, including including yourself. It should be about giving people pleasure, including yourself. And while you might be able to make yourself happy by dazzling people with your skills, I would question whether that's in the interest of your long-term happiness or maybe your deeper, more meaningful happiness. And I would definitely wonder if it might be pleasure that you're taking at someone else's expense. This phenomenon was brilliantly crystallized in the 2010 South Park episode, Cream Fraiche. I can't play too much of it for you without angering the copyright gods, but you should go watch it. The Hulu link is in the description.
Every time you watch cooking shows, you stay up all night trying to copy what they made.
Well, I'm sorry if there's something wrong with me helping out with the cooking.
Can I have a Pop-Tart?
So in this instance, the harm is relatively mild, right? Randy's family is annoyed that he is flexing on them rather than providing them with the food they actually want to eat. And they're annoyed that he is filling the house with misery and stress and dirty dishes in the process. Mild harm. I do think that there's some more serious or pernicious harm associated with this phenomenon.
One of the things that sociologists of food study is how a range of relations of inequality are embedded in our food supply chain. And that's not just buying, it also includes preparing, cooking, and so on. And it's not very difficult to find differentials in who has to cook and who gets to cook and when, who gets prestige in the act of cooking and who doesn't, and so on.
My little brother is an RFK fan now and only eats steak and drinks raw milk all day. What do I do? I mean, it's hard, but ideally, if you live out in the country, you got to take him out back. Maybe feed him his favorite meal. And when he's not looking, give him liberal propaganda. Hold on, let me grab a Red Bull. Fuck, it gets cold in this room. One of the things that's triggering me the most, I watched this again last night off stream because I was just so triggered.
Over Elon Musk.
Life. I grew up in.
I listen to this again and again. It's more annoying to me that was it Milo or was it Flint? One of the two archaeologist guys, I think it was Flint. He brought up this idea, and it's been growing in my mind. It's this concept of forbidden knowledge that
because of health issues.
People like act when people will say something and they'll be like, "Yeah, so." My sometimes my zipper when I zip up my jacket, sometimes it's really hard to like start it like at the very bottom, like it gets stuck and it's so annoying, and you're not allowed to talk about this. I'm like, what do you mean you're not allowed to talk about this? What do you mean? What are you talking about? One of the guys did it on Joe Rogan. Was it Brett Weinstein or was it somebody else? Where they were like, yeah, the only time I was sick, or was it JD Vance? Who was it? He was like, the only time I got real sick was when I got the booster, and they don't tell you that. And it's like, what? Every doctor, every single person in society was talking about how like, ooh, the booster, that's rough. The booster's rougher than the first vax. The booster's rougher than getting some of the variant. Every single person in the country was talking about that. What do you mean they don't allow you to talk about this? I'm sorry. I went back and I listened to this lady's story, and it's just like, this is just unbelievable to me. So she's 34 years old. Okay.
Something that happened to me over the course of this past decade. I was put on birth control in 2018.
So when she was what, like 28 years old, she got on birth control. 28 years old.
Because of health issues.
Because of health issues. Okay.
And it completely upended my life.
Why did you keep taking it? No one is forcing you. You're an adult. When she first told the story, I was thinking like, okay, maybe they gave it to her when she was 15 and she was too dumb to stop. If it was giving her back, whatever. 28 years old.
How so? I really never said this before, but it's really had such a traumatic and tremendous impact on my thinking. I feel like I wasted 5 years of my life because I was on birth control.
You were an adult, and not like an adult like 18, 19. You were like in your late 20s. Why didn't you just stop taking it?
And when I decided to come off it in May 2023, I felt like I reclaimed my life.
Why is this so dramatic? Well, how did you decide? Did you escape the man force feeding you every morning? Well, like,
and realize that conservatives were right about birth control. You know.
Oh, and then I love that conservatives were right. Oh, so birth control is an evil, malicious thing that's being force fed to children in order to turn them into premature fuck machines. Because that's basically like the conservative talking point when it comes to birth control. So they were right because at 27 or 28, a doctor recommended you birth control and you took it and you were too stupid to stop taking it when you had bad reactions to it. Okay.
You know, it completely hijacks your hormones. It makes you extremely anxious. And I would just expect it to just take it without question. I tried to express my concerns to my doctor, but she was living in this liberal ideology where you could just medicate yourself to, you know, to recovery. But now that I've been off it for 2 years, I feel like I'm a new woman. I finally have full control over my mind. And I'm finally free to be who I am without being shackled.
So, Lindy.
Like, I'm sorry. This story is going to live in my mind for way too long. I watched this like 2-3 times again last night. I'm trying to think of how many but the reality is, and then at the end, I always come back to this, like, oh, this is all like bullshit. This is all fake bullshit. Fuck. So I don't know what I'm even thinking about. Am I thinking of like the listener? Does nobody think about these stories? Like, what am I listening to right now? Or have you watched the Neil Ferguson and Sam Harrison new episode from yesterday? No. You don't take birth control? I do. The liberal doctor makes me do it. If you take birth control as a guy and then you come with a girl, the birth control goes into the girl and then she doesn't get pregnant. That's the whole point. Do you think IQ or EQ is more important? I don't even know if EQ is a real thing. It feels like a meme thing. Theo Vaughn deleted his post shitting on Zelensky. Good sign? Is it? He probably just got some pushback and stopped, but the fact that he even has that opinion is fucking crazy. God, this is so fucking cursed. Holy shit. This was... What if Putin breaks the ceasefire? Whoa! What if a bomb drops on your head? Like, what a crazy, stupid... People listen to this stuff in passing and trust the host to either push back or not bring on guests who lie. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess you just have to be of a certain, like... I don't want to say low education. Because it's not really accurate. It's not what we're talking about. If you just don't have any baseline information about a topic, it's very easy for you to be misled, I guess. When you see JD Vance's tweets and full understand why his mom traded him for some perk 30s. Was his mom a crackhead or something? I regret engaging in the political dumpster fire of the Trump-Zelensky meeting. I simply want to do my small part in building bridges and pushing for long-lasting peace. I'll try to focus on that through long-formed, nuanced conversation with people on all sides. Every day, I go to bed, every night, praying for the deep state to save us. Please, deep state, where are you? Please, please, deep state, where are you at? Come, please.
And this is my podcast. The following is
We've already watched this video
a
before.
conversation with Satan, acclaimed CEO, entrepreneur, dear friend, and author of the recent best-selling memoirs, From the Depths I Shall Tempt Your Soul. Formerly known as Lucifer, Satan and I have become good friends, bonding over our shared love of literature, quantum physics, and creative methods of torture, like this podcast. As always, I hope to approach this discussion with empathy, to bridge the gap, promote open dialogue, and let love triumph over all, so that I can secure more AG1 partnerships. I'm Lex, and this is my podcast that I made.
I'll start talking.
29 minutes, bro.
Well, today seemed to be a tempest in a teacup with world historical geopolitical consequences. That seems like a contradiction in terms in many ways, but I think...
As a speaker of both, I can tell you Zelensky's English is better than Lex's Russian. I still can't believe Lex had the audacity to interview my Russian. Bro, that was so cringe. It makes me want to interview some like Mexican diplomat or some bullshit and try to like flex my high school 1 Spanish. I want to have this conversation in Spanish because I think that it's better so we can understand each other, and then just like have a fucking translator for every other sentence. Oh my God.
That's what just happened. So my question is, was it a setup? Was it planned? Or are we really...
The whole thing... I'm not going to watch this whole video on this. The whole telling moment to me, but it's hard because Trump is so stupid that he could say fucking anything anyway. The whole telling thing to me was that line that he gave of, this is why we let it... I'm glad I let this go on for so long. I think that kind of gives the way. Was it not in this?
The United States of
Can
America.
I reiterate for the 7 millionth time, although it doesn't matter and I'm just a boomer screaming into the wind, how much I hate searching on the internet these days. We have all the advanced technology and so much shit. 10 years ago, if I would have searched for like Trump-Zelensky interview or whatever, or meeting, I would have gotten the full video and like my top 5 results. Okay, here we get this. I just needed one more word, I guess. And now it's like clips and all this other stupid shit and what the and reactions and fucking Christ. But okay, we needed to add meeting here, I guess. All the LLMs and AI in the world couldn't figure out what I was looking for. Thank you. Fuck, what did he say? I believe it was at the very end. What did he... Yeah, but what were the words so I can find it? Yeah, I thought it was like glad. I'm glad I let this go on. Oh, kept this going. There it is.
When you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful.
Like, for him to say that after this blow up is like, feels so malicious. That's an insanely malicious statement. Which makes me feel like this was... I don't know, man. Would they really have like planned the whole thing out? I wouldn't put it past them.
With the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side is exactly in love with, you know, I'd be so tough, but you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I will respond to this. So look, For 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity.
Can you guys please stop saying they were ready to make the deal? Unless you can link me an article showing that Zelensky was ready to sign a deal with no security guarantees, you are wrong and retarded. I know that you want to link something that says, oh, Zelensky was going to Washington to sign the deal. Bullshit. There is no shot he was going to sign any deal that didn't have some kind of security guarantee baked in. I don't believe that. It would be pointless. It wouldn't be worth anything. I don't believe that that's the case, that he was probably going there with the hopes of signing one, but it was after getting some kind of security guarantee from the United States.
Is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask?
This is ridiculous, dude. It's nice to finally have some transparency. The transparency is truly welcome. What do you think explains the liberal media refusing to hold Trump accountable? I think that, I don't know. I think that they're still a little bit traumatized from being accused of like having Trump derangement syndrome over and over again. Or just exhaustion and it not feeling meaningful. Wait, what? You should watch that Sam Harris video. The other dude's takes are crazy. Does he post it on YouTube? I guess it's pretty simple. Putin helped plan it out, got some questions that would trigger him, then told him to let him cook and seemed ungrateful.
Country, and I think it's ridiculous that we're focused on this border in Ukraine. I got to be honest with you. I don't really care what happens to Ukraine one way or another. Country, and I think it's ridiculous that we're focused on this border in Ukraine. I got to be honest with you. I don't really care what happens to Ukraine one way or another.
Right, let's bring in Tyson Barker, a foreign policy analyst who most recently served in the Biden-Harris administration working on Ukraine. Tyson, good to have you with us. If we can start from the beginning, what's your reaction to what happened in the Oval Office?
Well, it's clearly a moment that will live in infamy. President Trump said it himself, and I think it's consistent with his leadership style at the end that this will make for good television. And I think it was, in some ways, a produced moment. I think in the run-up to
him saying that at the end, I feel like it reinforced everything I said about it. At the end of the day, these guys are influencers. Trump is the first influencer president. And all of this at the end of the day is just for clicks and attention.
This visit by President Zelensky, there were questions around whether the critical minerals agreement was being negotiated in good faith by the Trump administration. And the intervention by Vice President J.D. Vance in the Oval Office is, to be quite frank, in this way, highly irregular. So I think that there needs to be consideration as to whether or not this was actually premeditated.
One of the many things you allude to in this debate that was laid bare was the personality of Vice President J.D. Vance. What did you make of his involvement in last night's clash?
Well, he has become the tip of the spear for a specific faction of the Trump administration. He is somebody who speaks in an unvarnished way to the alt-right. He is somebody who's connected to alt-right media, and we see him trying to basically assume that role as ambassador for the bad cop side of the administration in multiple iterations, including at the Munich Security Conference a couple weeks ago. So that was
JD Vance? Am I missing things? Does he do alt-right stuff?
consistent with this role. But it's hard to imagine a situation in which he makes such a statement, and it was quite condescending, to be quite honest, to President Zelensky in the Oval Office without the explicit predetermined permission of his boss.
And yet, Tyson, Zelensky says that his relations with the United States can still be repaired. As hard as it seems to imagine at this moment, how vital is it for the transatlantic relationship that Ukraine and US kiss and make?
I mean, it's the Peter Thiel types.
Up here.
It's absolutely essential. The Ukrainians' war effort is completely dependent on the provision of materiel and economic support from the United States. There are still a number of lines of effort. Some have been paused, as we saw emergency energy assistance.
Do you think some EU countries will or should cancel weapons deals with the US in future days and weeks? Maybe, yeah, hopefully, to make... I think if Europe is going to move... Listen to me, Europe, okay, as the American whisperer. If Europe is going to make moves to punish the United States for Trump's actions, it has to be as soon as fucking possible. Because if you drag your fucking feet on it, and if you wait for years, and in 3 or 4 years, you finally start to do it, people aren't going to feel the effects during Trump's administration. It can't be this kicking and dragging and whatever, and waiting and, you know, whatever. And then 2 or 3 years, and I was like, okay, fuck, we got to get serious about this. Like, there needs to be a strong message right now. Like, it has to happen very soon, you know? Yeah, I saw that Norway is refusing to refuel our shit. I think there should also be a huge boycott of everything having to do with like Tesla and shit. I think people should boycott the fuck out of that. Although I guess it's hard because if you already have a car, I mean, if you have a Tesla, you can trade it in anyway. Fuck it. You're probably wealthy enough to do it. Do you think that the average American cares about the suffering and deaths over there? Like, is this a possible valid attack in the midterms, or will it just not matter? I think in a way, Ukraine doesn't really matter at all to people in the United States. And I think in another way, it's like the most important thing to people in the United States. I think that the actual factual matters of things don't matter. Nobody really cares. Nobody knows what's going on. But the story and the narrative of what America is, or what America should be, or what America represents to the world, I think Americans do care about that. But again, the issue is that the concept of America has taken such a beating. It was basically, as much as I hate to say it, it was only the neocons that were holding up this concept of America being a good country. And it was like the left that was like, well, no, slavery, and Christopher Columbus was a bad guy, and we fucked over the natives, and America's racist and evil and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, you know, America, the neocons are there to simp for our big businesses and to simp for America. And the left is there to push us forward socially and, you know, hold us accountable, I guess, whatever. But now that the right doesn't like this country and it's like, fuck America, fuck the big businesses and fuck everything else, the left is not ready to pick up that banner. Even though Kamala kind of tried in being more positive about the United States, the feeling doesn't feel genuine or authentic there yet, so...
was paused yesterday. The provision of future weapons is under consideration to be paused. This would have an extremely deleterious effect on Ukraine's war effort. But I have to say, and this is where Zelensky has a unique brand of leadership, and the man has stared death in the face and has a spine of steel, that they are not going to do anything everything to win the U.S. support. What the Trump administration has done in this case, and what President Trump has said, is basically, you are now at an asymmetric and weakened negotiating position. You are not in a position to ask for concessions in any kind of ceasefire.
Do you just reject the idea of the mineral rights leading to this administration's desire for security of Ukraine? I don't think mineral rights are a big deal at all. It's just some random retarded negotiating chip that they can use to bargain for whatever. I don't think it matters that much. And it's not like there are that many. Like, Ukraine doesn't even have that much in terms of exploitable resources for how much Trump seems to be making a big deal out of it. It's just not.
Negotiating position. You are not in a position to ask for concessions in any kind of ceasefire. And that seems to indicate that Trump is biasing himself in any peace negotiations on the side of Vladimir Putin. And that is obviously very worrying for not only Ukraine, but also Ukraine's European allies, who came out in force in the media yesterday after this event to reaffirm their support for Ukraine.
Yeah, Trump said Ukraine didn't have the cards to play. It did feel like he was also talking to Europe. Does Europe have any cards to play? If not, how does Europe arm itself with those cards to play in these negotiations?
Well, Ukraine's future and the beginning of this conflict, which started actually in 2014, was all about the movement of Ukraine geopolitically from Russia's orbit to the European Union's orbit. And
why does the Israel-Palestine conflict matter more to Americans than Ukraine? Older Americans have a very favorable view of Israel. I don't think Ukraine is the same. Most people, older people would have just saw it as part of the former Soviet Union and then its own country that had a lot of corruption issues, which it did for a long time. So we don't have that same attachment to Ukraine or the people of Ukraine or religiously to Ukraine like we do with Israel.
And in fact, if you remember the Maidan revolution, it was EU flags that the Ukrainians were waving on the Maidan. The European Union continues, with the UK and others, continues to be the biggest provider of assistance for Ukraine, economic and security, well, less security assistance, but economic assistance. But without the United States being a co-pillar in that, that would be a lot for Europe, Japan, Canada, and the UK to compensate. So the question is, do they have it within their stocks financially and also militarily to start to try to make that up? I think that there's thinking about that. You see that with Friedrich Merz's statement after the election, but it's going to happen on an extremely accelerated timetable.
Foreign policy expert Tyson Barker, it's been great to get your input. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody else having a thing where in DGG chat, I don't know if this is in other places, Google Chrome doesn't make your link purple after you click it? Why? The fuck?
A very good
chat
question.
Because you guys make everything sound so simple, sound so like to face value. It's like back in the days when there was COVID and the vaccines. A lot of vaccines went to waste. You know that? A lot of the vaccines went to nothing because they just expired. They went to nothing. Why? Because they had to give our their own people, right?
Do you think the mineral deal is more to do with Trump needing to be seen as a win, like it's something to accept purely for optics, and Zelensky wasn't properly clued in about this? I just don't know. I think Trump is just trying to extract as much from any situation ever. Like, don't let a good crisis go to waste, like that saying, except on steroids. I think that's just what it feels like.
The vaccinate themselves, right? The U.S. people, right? They have certain supplies, certain predictions, and a lot of it was superfluous, right? But that's fine, right? That's just the cost of business, right? That is just. But then, of course, you're gonna come across people who are saying, "Yo, dude, why do we have like 3 times the amount that we need? A lot of it goes to waste. Just send it to other country." Yeah, that's fucking brain dead. That's a minus IQ dumbass shit. That's because that's just the way it is. Like, oh man, if people say question mark, okay. Wait, nobody said that. Oh, have you guys completely forgotten?
How is this relating to this?
Dude. I don't know how much it's gonna cost exactly to go out and eat dinner. I'm gonna bring $60. Okay. Oh wow. Guys, you bought a steak because you're very hungry. Oh my god, dude. It's too much food. You didn't eat the whole steak. There's 20% left of the steak. Dude, you should have gotten a smaller steak. Dude, dumbass. You should have ordered, obviously, the smaller one. No, sometimes there's a little bit over, and you can't send it.
My coworkers are all 3 flavors of Trump supporters. I went really hard on them before the election. Do you think I should change tact and try to be softer? I waffle back and forth a lot. For people in your personal life, you should always be soft, unless you don't care about their opinion. You'll never change somebody's mind in real life by being like super brutal. You always have to just kind of be soft, ask questions, poke and prod like very gently, and try to appeal to their values. Like, oh, when you voted for Trump, did you think he would have said this about Zelensky? Or do you think it's a good thing? Like, should America play a role here? Or do we feel like Russia's winning? Or what? I don't know. Like, you have to be gentle in real life.
It's gonna rot, and it goes to waste. It's just, a massive portion of food in the United States, like meat, goes to waste. It goes to waste. It's just what it is.
It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved. There should have been no involvement because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was...
This is minutes. I don't know what you want me to watch this for. What?
You know what's actually crazy? I love when people say, "Oh, dude, too much money in military. Put $0 in why is my $10 goal going to military?" The same people that say that are like, "Dude, send 1,000 trillion to every nation to help with the wars going on." Brother, you can have it both ways. It's not something you can have both ways. But I can see how maybe the rock's gone to your brain. It's gone inside.
This is what you told me back then. Will Ukrainians survive without Congress support? Of course.
How am I wrong? Explain.
Not all of us. It will be tragic.
How am I wrong? Explain.
Okay. When are you doing call-ins? For what? Wait, is this photoshopped? This isn't real, right? Your link issue is solved by disabling this Chrome flag. What the fuck? Disabled? Relaunch. Oh my god. He did it. What a god.
All of America. Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question? Why are the richest counties in all of America the 5 major counties in the DMV right around Washington, D.C.? Can you explain to me, what do those counties do? Are there some mineral deposits there I don't know about? Did they strike oil? Is there some type of rich industry that's created around Washington? Maybe you can answer me that question. Why are those people so filthy rich? You don't seem to like rich people, so maybe explain why.
I can answer that question.
What does D.C.
You want me to
make,
answer it?
Sam?
It's lobbyists. It's lobbyists like all of the ones that have been appointed to Donald Trump's cabinet and to political positions. Rich lobbyists for all sorts of these industries that you supposedly have a problem with. I mean, that's where all the money is being made. It's not being made by federal workers. It's being made by lobbyists. And those are sent by corporations. If you will join me as...
What is the average salary of a lobbyist? I feel like there's no way these guys make like millions and millions of dollars now. Aren't there a lot of like... Am I making this up? Aren't there a lot of tech and defense jobs around the DC area? I know that I lived with at least one person who worked for a private military contractor up there. Like, I feel like there are a lot of
It's part of my campaign that you're interested in me running the Democratic Party, in calling for Donald Trump to fire all of the lobbyists he's hired so far. It wouldn't leave many people left in the government, but
Is there a better line of attack against Benny Johnson in this case, though? The most boring thing to me, the thing that pushes me out from wanting to do politics the most, is when people have two facts and they present them as though there's this huge causal link between the two and they haven't even begun to do the work to establish that. It's genuinely one of the most boring things and one of the least, I just hate it. To say that there are wealthy zip codes around DC, like, isn't all of New England relatively wealthy? Like, isn't that whole area up there? Like, I feel like I've been to like Boston and areas in that DMV area, Delaware, Maryland. I feel like there's a lot of wealthy areas in that place. I don't even know if the 5 most wealthy things are there. I could look it up, but like, if the argument you're trying to make is, are you trying to make the argument that these people are getting rich in public office? Then demonstrate that. You're a journalist. Wipe the smug, shit-eating fucking retard grin off of your Russian-compensated face, because that's what he got paid for, was to do Russian propaganda, which is what he does in the United States, and do some fucking homework for once in your life. Treat your job like an actual serious endeavor and do some research and actually demonstrate with some sort of proof that people are getting paid a disproportionate amount of money for working in DC, instead of just tying in 2 facts together that my 13-year-old son could find during recess. It's fucking retarded. So I don't know. What would my response be? This is just, it's the dumbest, most like, on January 20th, you guys said the world was going to end, and then Trump was elected and the sun rose. Like, explain that one, liberal. How did the sun come up when Trump was elected, if not because of Trump? It's just like, I'd rather honestly just kill myself than try to have that conversation. Like, ugh.
Industry that's created around Washington do? Are there? Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question for me? Why are the richest counties in all of America?
America's richest counties. Wealthiest? Is it richest, wealthiest? Yeah, how about we not do the one at a time cancer bullshit? He said 5. So we have Loudoun County, Virginia. We've got Santa Clara County, California. San Mateo County, California. Okay. Falls Church, Virginia. And then Fairfax County, Virginia. Okay. So 2 of these are in California. So, okay. What was the claim?
Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question for me? Why are the richest counties in all of America the 5 major counties in the DMV right around Washington, D.C.?
Okay, so the claim is wrong. I would just say, oh, your claim is wrong, and then I would just stop there. I wouldn't even waste my fucking time. But then afterwards, I don't know, why are people in Loudoun County so rich? I mean, you can look it up. My guess is going to be there's probably a fuck ton of generational wealth here. It's a New England area. Families that have lived here since probably the founding of the fucking country. But they're not even like so filthy rich that you would think that like, did you know that Loudoun County is the richest county in the country? Oh my God, really? Yeah, bro. What do you think their median income is? I don't know, man. Like $1 million probably? No, it's 178,000. Oh. Like, okay. Not New England, brother. What counts as New England again? New England. Honest to God, I just say all 13 original fucking states. I call them all New England. Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Oh, okay. Whatever. Fuck you. Damn. Okay, not even whatever. No one cares. East Coast, okay. Probably got the population and space of those counties, and they're small as fuck compared to Silicon Valley. Maybe. Well, but it's not about size. This is going by median income too, right? Is there an easy way to bring up the median income of all the districts around DC?
join me with that, we can start to chip away at that problem you have with the counties around DC.
Also, conservatives just can't complain about money buying politics literally ever again. And like not for the next 20 years. I'm sorry. Like you've completely ceded all the moral high ground on that. With Elon Musk being as involved as he is. How does Benny Johnson still have a career? I think he's tapped into like the normie MAGA audience and he does content for them.
And then we end up finding out that, Tesla might be getting $400 billion for armored cars.
400 million. Billion would be an insane amount of money, but
or we find out
they're not doing that.
or they might they might be using Starlink.
Oh, well,
instead of
what
you know
else?
what I mean? Like,
look, I think you
don't think that
they're not going to like it anytime Musk gets paid by the U.S. government because he's working so closely with Trump.
Yeah, but it's conflict of interest. It seems it's so simplistic that you shouldn't be doing that.
What's the other system though? Like.
Do we even know like what conflict of interest means anymore? Like conflict of interest, like it doesn't matter if the other options aren't great. It's just the idea that people would even like the idea that you're negotiating with a guy who's also basically running the government against contracts for his own company. It doesn't matter. Like even if they would have made the exact same choice otherwise, maybe they would have negotiated a better contract. Maybe it would have been a whole lot cheaper. Maybe there would have been some alternatives that they could have went with. But
Starlink is the only thing of its kind. It's there's no like Pepsi Cola to go with. You know what I mean? Like there's Verizon.
Wait, who else? Satellite TV was a thing when I was in fucking high school. There's never been ever any other type of satellite internet provider. Is Starlink really the only one in the whole world? It might be the best. That wouldn't surprise me because they have the most coverage.
You don't think there's something wrong with the guy in charge of the budget making money from the budget?
Well, he's not in charge of the budget. He has no.
He's in charge of cutting the budget. You don't think that there's a conflict of interest of what he's doing?
Like this is like this should be a 14.5-minute conversation just on this topic because like you're clearly not in the proper headspace to even have a real conversation if you can't admit this, right? Remember, Hunter Biden, who wasn't even in office and had no influence whatsoever on any policy at all, him being on the board of an energy company in Ukraine was enough to investigate fucking Joe Biden, okay, for 350 centuries, okay? But now when it comes to the U.S. government negotiating its own contracts against a guy who is auditing every single department who's best friends with the president, well, I mean, like, get the fuck out of here. Oh, my God, get the fuck out of here. This is so disingenuous.
Finding ways in presenting that to the president of the United States that we elected. Presenting that to the president.
There's a conflict of interest of.
Oh, look at how good this is. Also, it's so nice. The human centipede of media. Do you see how like the 15 times digested shit is all the way down here out of Kyle's mouth now too? He won the election. Yeah, he's elected by the people. Elected by the people.
What he's doing
in charge of finding ways in presenting that to the president of the United States that we elected. Just like all the other people that work for him.
I'm sorry.
He's not running it by Trump. The guy's got.
He's not running it by Trump.
He's not running anything by Trump.
It doesn't matter. Even if he is, like the liberals here are biting, they don't even need to bite this bullet. Woody, it doesn't matter if he's running and bite or not. You would never accept this. You would never accept this with any type of Democrat leader ever. That some random dude, fuck random dude. Let's just go right to the big guns. Imagine George Soros running a department in the White House auditing federal departments and then selling his own services to the U.S. government. They would never accept this. Just ask him that. If George Soros was, no, you can't ask him because they'll just fucking lie. Because Kyle will lie and go, well, I'd probably be okay with it. They'll just lie about it. But you should at least say it for the audience. The audience, some of them will hear. Remember, you only need like 5%. 5%, guys. That's what we're aiming for over here, okay? 5%. It has to hear how ridiculous that would be on the conservative side.
Trump.
No, Trump is
Trump is sleeping during the press conferences, bro.
So you think that Musk finds the waste, and then he goes and writes an executive order to stop it himself? Like obviously.
And then look at how like Kyle phrases it in the most retarded way possible. Woody's response should be, this is what Woody's response should be. Okay? How's it? You think that Elon Musk himself writes executive? You should go, oh, no. I'm sorry. You're right. Hold on. Let's bring up an executive order and read this. Do you think that Donald Trump wrote this executive order unassisted? I just want to hear you say that. I want you to say that the guy, and he's the best guy, and I've seen this guy, and he's the greatest guy, and he's such a guy, that's Trump, okay? He's the guy writing these executive orders and all the formalistic legalese and everything else. Seriously? You really think that? Donald Trump wrote the sentence, covered contracts and grants means discretionary spending through federal contracts, grants, loans, and related instruments, but excludes direct assistance to individuals. Like, really? Obviously, there are people that write him help the executive orders. Why can't Elon Musk be one of them, right? It's just...
He goes and writes an executive order to stop it himself. Like obviously.
You think there's an executive order for these things? That's what you're saying. You're saying that Trump is signing an executive order to cut Sesame Street. That's what you're saying?
I don't know how.
Well, you made it up, I think. Like, I really think...
Oh! How did Kyle go from, you really think this is how it works? To then Woody asking him a question, I was like, well, I mean, I don't know how it works. Oh, well, thanks for clarifying now that you've been called on your bullshit. So if Woody didn't question that, were we just supposed to assume that you did know how it was going to work? Like,
I'm not making.
He can literally
them a
tweet
day.
this
They're
shit
often
and
based
tell people
on
not to go to work the next day. I've seen it on Twitter, right?
There's no procedure happening here.
Autonomy.
Yeah, there's no procedure happening here. There's no.
Also, keep in mind that while we are dooming on Trump, okay, so in a way, this last month has been both absolutely horrifying, but he's also been absolutely ineffective as a leader as well. Trump has not done anything in terms of agenda setting for Congress. Trump, like nothing is there. The budget stuff, I think, is in mayhem right now. I don't know if Trump's provided any guidance whatsoever. All Trump is doing is what he can by executive order. I don't know if anything meaningful has even been accomplished yet, other than the dismantling, I guess, of parts of the federal government that's being challenged in the courts, that the Supreme Court is not being forced to rule on in his first month in office. I
don't understand what you're suggesting is happening. You're making it sound like Elon Musk is writing laws and implementing them.
No one's writing.
Like, imagine how crazy Kyle is being now. Like, are you saying that? Hold on, Elon Musk is walking down with an assault rifle and he's making people give him in what, $100 bills money for his company? Like, nobody's saying that. The easy, strong version of Woody and Wolf Paintball's claim